Welcome to New England Lacrosse Journal's Chasing the Goal podcast, your destination for all things lacrosse. I'm your host, Kyle Devitt. This is not Jack Piatelli. Nope. He is not here for this podcast. This is Westwood's Owen Hart.
How's it going?
Great, man.
Excited to be here.
Let's go up front with it. Owen has written for us. In addition to being a coach and an assistant coach, are you offensive?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So use the same rule that I have. You're also the JV coach.
Yes, I am.
We'll get into that. That'll be a fun discussion. But we brought you in to talk a little MIAA.
Absolutely.
Talk about your background. Talk about Westwood. The culture of the team. We've had your head coach Todd Zahurik in here. Coach
yes,
Z.
a couple years ago.
Yeah, he's He sent us the greatest photo I think I've ever seen of a coach, where he's jumping up and down and screaming, and he's like, "Use this one." And I was like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Yes, this is the one I want." And he likes to comment with little text messages here and there to me with some of my articles, and I appreciate that. Just means he's reading.
Absolutely.
Even if it's a little barb.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. Let's go through your background in the sport. When'd you start, and where'd you play?
So I think the first time I ever played, my brother played lacrosse growing up a couple years, and he would just make me play catch with him because he needed a wall, and I was his wall. He just made me pick up a stick and practice. But I didn't play until my 8th grade year, and even then I didn't want to do it. My mom made me sign up. I went to maybe like 3 practices and 2 games, because Westwood Youth Lacrosse, as we've talked about, like, there's a lot of heavy hitters in the youth lacrosse and that maybe don't always go to the high school. So I was playing with kids that were like going on to be like D1 stars, and I was like, this is a little bit above my pay grade. And I was a basketball kid, so I played basketball all throughout high school. I got cut my senior year. I didn't play lacrosse all through high school. I played, again, like a couple times growing up. And then senior year, I was like, I want something to do. I'll just join lacrosse. And I showed up a couple days in. Z was like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, I just was bored, want something to do, and just kind of fell in love with it the minute I stepped on the field. Like, funnily enough, 2018 was Westwood's like best regular season they've ever had. The only time they ever beat Medfield. The first time they beat Dover Sherborne, like career high in wins. And I was a junior at the school, and I didn't go to one game. Just shows you how niche of a sport it was.
Yeah.
That like even in my backyard, stuff was going on, and like I had no idea. And then credit to, do you know Mike Flanagan?
Yes.
Yeah, so he would do a bunch of highlight tapes for the team, and that's kind of how I found out that we were having such a good year. Watched those, fell in love with it, and then played my senior year. I was like you ever see those clips? It's like the team manager got in and scored 20 points off the bench that one time. Like, I was that kid. Like, when I showed up, it was like, it was Rudy. And then after I graduated, kept in touch with Z, and then 2021. This first year they had after COVID, he asked me to come back and coach, and it was an instant yes.
That's literally that's when I started too.
Yep.
That's that 21 season. So
yep.
And that was, did you still have to wear masks and stuff?
For the first maybe month of the season, yeah.
Right. And then they're like, "Oh, they're outside."
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that'll work. And then, but our team photo is everyone has a mask on.
Yep. And
I have it hanging like in my living room, and people come in and they're like, "What is that?" What is this photo? I'm like, it's 2021, man. Sorry. Like, that was what.
And then we started late,
Where
too.
are you? Where are you? Oh, let me tell you something. Yep. I was working here. That was the year that the championship was delayed an entire day because there was lightning, and it was St. John's Prep and BC High. I know everyone's surprised. And it was at SJP. And I remember being there, and I'm like, it's getting late. And we've had this lightning delay for like a while, and this storm's still going. I don't think, and I remember tweeting at me like, I think we're going to do this tomorrow. And everyone was like, no, it'll be fine. No, you're being dramatic. And then, no joke, like some other person tweeted like, "Oh, we're going to resume," and they were wrong. And it came in, they're like, "Yeah, we're going to postpone it." And I was like, I just remember emailing my editor, the great Mike Z, and being like, "Hey, so you know that game story? You're not going to get that because the game's been postponed to tomorrow." And that game, to your point of it being late, was like July 2nd.
Yes, it was.
And which means it concluded on July 3rd because I had to go back, and it was like 10 a.m. that it resumed. And I'm back, and I'm like, all right, SJP up by like 6. There's like a quarter and a half to play. Okay, we're just going to continue the game story, put a little note, and we'll keep going. And I tell people that all the time that are new to covering stuff. I was like, yeah, I was covering high school July 3rd.
Yep.
They're like, no, you weren't. I was like, It was the year after COVID. Football was late. This is what happened.
It was absurd.
It was an absurd year. Like, I can't imagine, because I coached before. I coached for a long time in college. And I did coach a little bit of high school right after I graduated at my high school at John Stark. And I can't imagine starting coaching in that environment. What was that like for you?
It was so weird because, I mean, I think that our first game was like late May, and that's usually when like you're in the dog days, and like that was also when you recognized we talking about the mask and the heat was just way worse. Like it was hard to get fresh legs, especially back then. Like we were coming off COVID, we lost a lot of kids in the COVID year. We had like way less numbers. It was a weird year. We had like 5 kids on the bench, and like it was absurd. It was and also it made it way harder to recognize kids and learn their names because they're showing up with masks and stuff like that. Like I already struggled with that a lot, showing 50 new kids I've never met before, and they all have masks on. I'm like, who are you? It was impossible. It was absurd.
It was, I have this weird thing, in a previous podcast I mentioned I have like kind of a little OCD, and one of the things I do is like, I like memorize the kids' sticks before their faces.
Yes.
So I know, because I string them too. So I know what you're using. And that helps, except that year, I think that was the year that Mirage 2 came out from ECD, and every kid out of Mirage 2, and I was like, this isn't going to work this year. It's not going to work. That was tough. Yep. But again, that going through that probably prepared you. It's probably like a real acceleration of learning how to coach.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
In that environment, right? Because
it was weird.
Westwood's always, and I didn't know this till we had Coach Zion, like Westwood's kind of like the, if we're doing an equivalent for New Hampshire, I believe the town I said was Bedford.
That makes sense.
Because a lot of Bedford kids, now more Bedford kids are staying, but traditionally, before even Bedford had a high school, they were going to public school in Manchester, which no one liked. And the lacrosse players would just go to BG.
Yep. Right?
And that's kind of what's happening with you guys, except it's not just one school. It's like all the ISL schools are grabbing Westwood kids.
Yeah.
Good
amount of them.
So what is your relationship with that? Mine is. Listen, there are Hopkinton kids playing preps. Yep. I'm not going to lie to you. There's not a lot of them, and there haven't been any that I knew. Yep. So how has that been for you, kind of managing that? Because I know that's tough.
It has, especially like you look at like the youth practices coming on the field after we're done. Like 10 of them aren't wearing Westwood helmets. They're wearing the school that they go to's helmets or a Massachusetts helmet. And I'm like, all right, he's pretty good. Oh, I'm probably not getting him next year. Never mind.
Yeah, you got to kind of erase them already.
Yeah,
right?
It's so like, and then like I ask like the people who do you have any incoming freshmen? They're like, maybe. It's so like it's interesting. But the ones who do come and stay, I mean, it's real good. And rarely we have them come back, and that's even extra special. And we wrote a story about it on lacrojournal.com with Andover. They got him back from
JP Gunny.
Oh my God. Holderness. And I was talking to that coach about it, and he was like, it was fantastic. It was like nothing I ever. So like, I don't know. I don't want to make a soft pitch right now. I think that go back and play for a public high school. It's going to be my pitch.
I will make the pitch. All of you Hopkinton guys, I know you live there. Okay, come play for me and Coach Blue.
Absolutely,
it'll be fun. We have fun. We have too much fun. Can I just tell you, we have this thing that we do that I don't know if I've told this story on the podcast, but. He is my complete opposite in like every way. He's not intense. He's not like, he's very laid back. He's very like, he's a defensive guy. He's an born SSDM that like plays transition. Like
That's
he
fun.
went to McGill, super smart. He's a what do you call it? Not organic farmer. He's regenerational farmer. So one of those words that I should know because I'm from New Hampshire, and you assume to me to know because my hick is only like half. I'm not fully fluent anymore.
Happens. So
he would come. I remember being there, and like you were saying, it was hot, right?
Oh.
And in 21, and he walked over to a kid who was injured, and the kid left in the car, and I'm like, "Did you just kick that kid out of practice? What's happening?" He's like, "Don't worry about it. You'll see." And he comes back. We're in the middle of a drill, and then we break for water, and the kid comes back, and he's carrying popsicles. I'm like, did you just have him go get us popsicles?
Send him on a grocery run.
I'm like, what is this? I'm like, you can't. This is high school lacrosse, man. This is varsity. Like at this point, the JVs were done. The JVs were done at that point, and I'm like, what is this? And he's like, well, this is what we do when it's hot. I'm like, are you? I'm like coming from a college background. If you did that at a college practice, you would get fired.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm just like, what is this? This can't be real. What are we doing? And he's like, just relax, Kyle.
Yeah.
You know, I remember him just being like, dude, can you relax? I'm like, no, we don't know the man up. We need to run the man up again. You know, like, I'm just like, they're like, we need to do this. We need to do this. Why aren't we doing this? And he's just like, some days, it's too hot.
Yep.
And they're done listening, and you give them a popsicle. And I'm like, I still can't get used to it because it still happens.
Oh, I'm the same way with you.
Yeah. I can't, but I realize the value of it. I also realize I'm never going to be the guy that does that. But I like working with the guy who does. So what
Yes.
I know Coach C is not like that, but can you say kind of a little bit about your relationship with him now that you've been coaching him with him for a little bit?
It's weird to get a peek back of the curtain because when you play for a person, it's like you have a different relationship. And then when you come in and you're colleagues and you're on the same level, and then like you kind of get a different side, it's like really makes, and then made me think back about my playing days, and you're like, he tells me all the behind the scenes stories I didn't know about. It's weird. Even 4 years in, I'm still kind of getting acclimated to it. And it's interesting to see kind of like the way, like, for instance, he prints out a practice plan, prints it out. He's old. He doesn't have a computer.
Yeah.
And
or phone.
Yeah, exactly. So like, it's weird to see like he has it all detailed out and like, we're doing this for this. And then you kind of see some of it and it's like a little bit less lacrosse stuff and more just kind of like man-to-man stuff or guys-to-guys, so just kind of take them away from the sport a little bit. And it took me, I'm still taking a long time to appreciate that and seeing the benefits of it. And I do know that it's there, but at the same time, I'm like, we got playoffs coming up. Let's spend a little extra time on some things.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it goes a long way. A long way. Absolutely.
After we're done with this podcast, I'm driving back to New Hampshire, and we have because we're still in the playoffs, and we're going to turf at New England College. It's our closest turf. We don't have turf. No one in New Hampshire has turf.
The closest turf. That's crazy.
It's the closest turf to us. So, I mean, it's one town over. It's not that bad.
Okay.
It just sounds bad because I said it like that.
Yeah.
Because that's what I do. And it's 2 hours. We're going to finish. I'm going to have 2 hours to get there. And I'm going to get there, and I know he's going to be suited up and playing with the kids. And, like, he's going to try and, like, relax them. And to me, I'm like, no, we need to focus.
Yep.
We have 2 practices before semifinals. What are we doing? You know, like, we need to do this. But his way works, man. The kids do, like, edits of him on the sideline. And, like, he's, like, eating a hot dog. And we ran out of water in the last game. But we had a thing of ice that fully melted. Mm-hmm. And we had 2 seniors, like, there's a video of him just, like, splashing the ice that's now water onto them and, like, them screaming and him smiling.
Yep.
And they did a loop of it. And that's, like, a reel. And I'm like, what? I don't think it's generational. I thought it was generational, and now I don't.
It's not.
Because I'm literally like, no, don't do this. I don't like it.
Yep.
I know you do audio and video stuff as well.
I do.
So what is your background with that? And how does that fit into kind of what I was just talking about? How many the kids just call them edits, right?
I think an overused term.
It is. It's almost as overused as, what is the term I hate that everyone uses? Iconic. Stop saying iconic. Stop it. Stop it. It doesn't mean what you think it means. You're not using it right. Words have meanings. Stop perverting them. Thank you. Our producer laughed at that, so that's how I know it's good.
That was good.
What is your kind of relationship with it? How'd you get into it, I guess, is probably the better question.
Just at Westwood High, they offered a video production course that you can take once you're a sophomore. And my amazing video production teacher, MIAA Division, who's been there probably, I don't know how long. I took it for 3 years. Most people only take it for like 1. I took it sophomore, junior, senior year, and you learn this is a camera, this is a tripod, this is how you edit. I learned how to edit in Premiere Pro. I learned about audio. I'd done a couple, they would have the students in our class go work with Westwood Media Center, who's closely affiliated with us, who does all a lot of filming sports. And we'd have to go put on film graduations, or if some guest speaker was in, I learned how to use a TriCaster and do all this stuff. And I kind of carried that with me, bought a camera shortly into college, bought Premiere Pro, and was able to use that to get other work. I filmed a couple showcases, filmed games, made highlights, made a couple highlights for players. So that was a skill I took with me all from Westwood High, and was able to take that and use it in my future.
I did do film stuff, but I was literally cutting physical film, and I've done some digital stuff. Yeah. I don't want to do it. I like writing. It's much better for me, and doing this is better for me.
Yes.
But so I don't know a lot about it. Is it more lucrative than I'm imagining, or less?
I'll tell you this, it's much more time consuming. I'll say that.
Well, I know that part. No, that's the part I know.
Yeah.
So is the juice worth the squeeze with it? I think is the
a lot of the times, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would think so.
Yeah. But I would say I much prefer when I'm driving home from a game an hour away and I just, okay, there's the quote, write the story, and I'm good. I'm supposed to import 30 minutes, rendering, edit, find a song, do that. And so it's taxing, but it's definitely, the juice is worth the squeeze for sure. And also it gets you a lot of places. Like I was able to go to UMass Amherst for the NLF 120 showcase a couple years ago. That was a lot of fun. Do a couple other tournaments, and it definitely opens windows if you have that one little skill of just know how to click it in and out. It goes a long way.
Yeah, it's also
you keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
I was thinking that once he said that. I'm not even kidding. I was like Princess Bride. I didn't remember Wallace Shawn's character's name. It was like,
oh my god,
he didn't fall. Inconceivable. You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
I was going through my head when he was saying that.
What a producer. What a man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
I'm glad you said it so I didn't have to.
I appreciate you. In the absence of Jack's malapropisms, that was incredible and a well-needed interjection into the podcast.
Absolutely.
The other thing you're kind of saying without saying is like there aren't a ton of people in lacrosse that do that.
Yeah.
Right? It's like flannel, especially here.
Yeah.
It's like flannel. End of list. Yeah, I don't really know anybody else that does it.
I know, gosh, Brandon Martinez. I worked with him a couple times. He's a great guy. But yeah, it is definitely. Like I said, I've reminded every day how niche of a sport that we follow. I got a humbling experience this past weekend. I was like, oh, the game's on 1 o'clock, national TV. I'll go to a bar. They'll have it on, and they had women's basketball and college baseball on. And I was like, yep, that was a humbling experience. They're not gonna have the game on.
No. Well, to be fair, it was delayed.
Yeah,
I was
it
there.
was.
So here's what happened for a little behind the scenes for people that weren't in Philly for the D1 National Championship. They did the anthem. The teams were out. They did a flyover, okay, with a military plane. And then it wasn't even raining. There was no lightning. There was no thunder. I just start seeing like we call them red hats, like the people that do the production and stuff. Okay. I see them kind of running around the field. I was like, that's not good. I know what that means. And then there's an announcement over the loudspeaker from the guy who's making the announcement is 2 rooms over from me. And he's like, ladies and gentlemen, please get to the concourse. Please leave your seats. We will be delaying the game. There is weather coming in the area. And I was like, this is a live game. I don't see any weather. Sure enough, 10 minutes later, it started raining. Last I checked, you play lacrosse in the rain. Just me? Yeah. So we're sitting there and we're like, and everyone's on social media. We're all on social media and we're like, so there's a delay. Mentions, like, I can't even read them all. I'm like, sorry? Like, I didn't do it? Like, just letting you know. And then they gave us, like, then they extended it. And they extended it again. And I was just like, dude, are we going home? Am I, like, going home on JetBlue at, like, 3 a.m.? What's happening? Which I did, related to this, but not because of the game itself, because everything else got delayed, right? So that all happens, and we're just kind of, like, sitting there, like, we got to kill some time, I guess. We're just, like, in the press box, vamping, waiting for you, and then they came out, and I will tell you the scene that was great that, like, you're never going to see, even if you're in the arena, but we could see because we're in the box, is the teams came out. There's a pop from the concourse, and then just thousands of ants rushing to seats and sitting in seats, and then, like, the game goes, and I'm just like, all right, now I remember why we're here. Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. But that was brutal. So, of course, to be fair, you could be forgiven for not finding it because it wasn't played till, like, I don't know, 2 hours later than it should have been. Because they moved it up. Yeah. They moved it up to avoid the weather, and
didn't work.
Didn't work at all. Did the opposite thing that you were going to do.
Yep.
Summer is just around the corner, and if you're looking for a great boys or girls lacrosse camp, Piatelli Lacrosse has you covered. With camp locations in Northern Connecticut, Western Mass, and Central Mass, Piatelli camps are a great way for players to develop their lacrosse skills and improve their game. Our coaching staff is made up of current college and high school coaches that are experienced in working with youth-level lacrosse players. In addition to boys lacrosse camps, Piatelli is excited to offer the Panthers girls camps for players in 1st through 8th grade. For more information on the Piatelli boys and girls lacrosse camps, including dates and locations, visit piatellilacrosse.com/camps. That's PIATELLI lacrosse.com/camps.
Are you serious about playing your sport in college? Do you need a flexible education that allows you to maintain your practice and competition schedules while also preparing you to succeed at the next level? You should check out the University of Nebraska High School. UNHS is accredited and offers more than 100 online courses, including NCAA-approved courses to protect your academic eligibility. Students could earn a UNHS diploma or take a single course for transfer credit. Courses are college prep, self-paced, and available 24/7, 365. Enroll anytime and take up to a year to complete a course. Visit highschool.nebraska.edu today.
Hi, I'm Rachel Hedden, head girls lacrosse coach at the Frederick Gunn School, an independent high school in Connecticut. We play in one of the most competitive prep school leagues and place athletes at top college programs. To learn more, visit gogun.org. That's GOGUNN.org.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that how the melding of like social media, video, audio, written work is all kind of like coming together in a way. And this podcast is like proof positive of that. Like when I first got hired here, I was like, we need to put stuff on YouTube like immediately. Like we're doing this podcast. If you're gonna have me do a podcast, I want to be on YouTube. I've been begging to be on it forever. Not because like of my ego, but because like people need to see people talk. I watch podcasts all the time. That's like, I just put on a podcast while I'm working.
I will watch instead of listen a lot of the time.
Yes.
I will too.
I hope so. This podcast or another podcast?
Of course.
Oh,
absolutely.
All right.
Every
This
week.
podcast?
I text you when I listen.
I
You're
know.
a good guest.
This is great. Yeah. And now you're here.
Yeah.
So persistence, it pays off.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about coaching JV.
Yeah.
Before we get into MIAA stuff, I know people are here for that. But we're going to talk about, we're going to tell some JV stories. Do you want to go first?
I want to see if you agree with this.
Yes.
I notice whenever, because we're both on the sidelines for Varsity. Yeah. I think both on the box for Varsity.
Yes.
Whenever I am very much like, oh, that call. Whenever it's JV, I just assume that my kids were wrong and the refs are right, no matter all times. But Varsity gives me more benefit of the doubt. Whenever there's JV, I'm like, yeah, you probably did slash them. You probably didn't chase that ball out of bounds. I don't know what, I've noticed that I'm just way more calm at a JV game than I am at a Varsity game. It's like, I'm assuming that you probably did ward.
Yeah. Can I tell you why though?
Yes.
Can I tell you, because we have similar, I'll just say energy now that I've met you. We know that we're not there to win that game.
Yes.
We're there to teach these kids how to play lacrosse.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that switch is not easy to find.
No.
And it usually happens after the first quarter, I find. If you play a quarter or half or whatever you guys do. I don't know. We've played halves. We've played trimesters. I don't know what we're doing.
A couple years ago, back when we didn't have enough kids, I wasn't the JV coach at this time. Shout out Kevin Sennett, former JV coach there. They ran like 6 minute, like 8 periods or like 7 periods. They just would run whatever. They just made it up. It was
wild.
I don't know. But we also changed. We would do 10-minute stop, 12-minute running, quarters, we changed it every game.
We only do running now. Yeah. Unless, like, I really want to get a game experience for them.
Yeah.
And even then, the ref still looks at me like, no.
Yeah.
I've had a ref be like, we're not doing that.
Absolutely.
I've had a ref try to leave.
Doesn't surprise me.
Because he didn't want to do JV.
Of course.
And I was like, what's the check say? And he looks at me, and I'm like, you're getting paid for this. Let's go. He's, like, taking his shoes off. I'm like, what's the check say, man? Are you doing this? What are we doing? And he just looked at me, and I was like, yeah, I'm that guy. Get ready.
Yep.
I was the nice before because I'm the assistant, and I can get thrown out of the game and cost my team. Now I'm the head coach, and I don't care. We're going to play this JV game. Let's go. I'm here. You're here. We're going to do it.
That's Captain Phillips. I'm the captain now.
Yeah,
let's
go.
Once that happens.
I got a conduct foul this year because I've only had 2 in 4 years.
Okay.
It's my proudest moment.
Nice.
When I tell people that played for me or played against me or coached against me, and I tell them I've had 2 in 4 years, they don't believe me. But it's true. And I got it this year because I was asking what the call was.
Oh, I did.
And
that a lot.
he wouldn't answer. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you need to tell me what the call is. And he came over and he before he came over, he threw a conduct foul. I was like, why are you throwing a conduct foul? I'm just asking you what your call was. And he's like, are you done? Are you done? I'm like, no, you need to tell me what the conduct, what the call is. He's like, do you want to get a flag? I was like, I absolutely do not want a flag. I want the information that you were supposed to relay to me as an official. And he just looked at me, and I was like, just tell me what the call is, man, because I have to go tell him what he did wrong. And he kind of looked at me like, oh. Well, it was a push. And I was like, thank you. And walked away. And I walk over, and I'm like, you did nothing wrong. And went back to the box.
It's a learning moment.
Because it's kind of like, like that's the thing with JV too. Like I did get upset. I had a coach kind of come after me this year because one of his varsity guys killed one of my guys in the center. And I'm like, and I just kept screaming. I said it too many times. I'm gonna be honest. I yelled, "It's a JV game. It's a JV game."
Yep.
I said it 6 times. Each time I said it,
Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
Oh my God. We're full on sound effects show now, folks. It's full on production. I increased my volume. And I'm sure you have your top level volume and your mid level volume and your low volume. My top level volume is I've been told unacceptable for most things. And I he came over and the coach, remember he yelled, he's like, we're trying to figure out what's going on. And, we don't, don't say that to us. And he's like, and I'm like, and I said it again. And he's like, we don't know. I can't hear anything with you running your mouth. And I went, honestly, I kind of took a deep breath of air to yell back. And then the head coach just goes like this, puts his hand up. This is what he's so good at, man. It's so good to have that partnership with someone where I was just like, yep.
Yeah.
And he went over and solved it, like kind of de-escalated. Again, a skill I am yet to acquire, even in my late age. But I think I will tell a story to follow that up that's a little better.
Sure.
That you'll relate to. Maybe not. I had a kid, he's our leading scorer for JV. Mm-hmm. He has played in 1 varsity game, I think. He came up to me. There was a face-off. No one had possession. He ran out. Okay? Mm-hmm. So other team got the ball. He encroached, right? You have to stay in the box till there's possession. He didn't know the rule. He's like, what did I do? What did I do? I was like, come here. And he's like, are you going to yell at me? I'm like, no, just come here. I'm going to tell you what you did. And he comes up, and I'm like, okay, so you have to wait until one of the face-off guys picks up the ball or someone on the wing on either team picks up the ball before you can leave the restraining line. And this kid, no one's going to believe that's listening or watching. This kid looks me dead in the eye and goes,
what's the restraining line?
Yes. And my jaw goes, I take a deep breath. I have an answer, but this is right after the varsity game that was very heated that we ended up winning.
Yep.
And I'm exhausted, and I go, and there's another volunteer assistant, and I'm like, can you? And he goes, oh yeah, I got it. And because he played for me, he was my old goalie. He's like, oh yeah. And I just walk to the end line, just slow, determined walk. It was the last thing I wanted. I knew he was going to say it. I knew it. And he said it. And I just kind of my whole brain was like, you need to not react in this moment.
Yep.
You need to go away. Do you have a story like that?
Yes. We were playing Hopkinton, Massachusetts JV team.
Thank you.
Great program. And it was end of the 3rd quarter, I want to say. And they had a slash, flag down, time's ticking down. I'm screaming, hold it. I'm screaming, hold it. And I don't know if they didn't hear me or something else. And someone he sees the clock running down. He thinks, oh, I have to go and shoot. And then he shoots at the buzzer. We lose possession, face up to start the 4th quarter. And I was like, don't do that, because then we lose possession. If you hold it and it stops, we get the ball, shut the 4th quarter, man up. And he was like, oh, I don't know. Nobody knew it. Nobody on my team knew that rule. I was like, you guys can't. These plays, oh my God.
75% of my kids don't know that rule.
I was
100%.
Like, are you kidding? Really? I was just like, but it's weird. I'm still not used to that. I'm still getting used to the rules. That was one moment where I was just shocked. It wasn't just he didn't know the rules. I think 80% of my team was like, huh?
Because what rule is that?
It's because they're just clock's down. I have to shoot. Dude, I was like, no, we have a flag. That was late in the season too.
Yeah.
So I'm almost surprised it didn't happen earlier in the year. But I was like, what the? That was absurd.
Yeah. Well, we talked too. because now once we realize we have the kind of the same job with similar programs, right? Like it's the JV that we have is, you know, we have 6 kids that swing, that play both.
Yep.
And one of them isn't allowed to play because he actually ended up making second team All-State.
Oh.
So he's that good. So he doesn't play JV anymore.
Okay.
I was originally going to have him play X so he could learn more. And he's a midi now. So we changed everything about his entire life. But he did great with it. Like, he's a great player, very athletic, awesome kid. And what I kind of like figured is that when you're the JV coach, you have a lot of teaching. Yeah. And this year, it's too much teaching. Yeah. I don't know if I know you had the similar experience. I had not had that. I had a nice mix of half the time I'm teaching, half the time I'm, executing. We're putting in stuff. We did not run one play for JV. Not one. Not one play all season. And our man up, I was like, our man up. First of all, our man up for varsity is pretty easy, but it's still too hard to teach to the JVs that don't run regular offense. So I'm like, we're just going to line up 3-3 and pass the ball around, wait for them to rotate.
I didn't put up a man up personnel until like the last 3 games of the season. I was like, I'm not going to waste practice time being like, oh, so then you pass here and do this. Like, no, let's pass and catch for 10 minutes first. Like,
the varsity coach has no time for your JV man up, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's kind of part of it. But the teaching part is like, I didn't coach varsity for 3 weeks when the season started. Cause first of all, we did the separation was very easy, but everything else after that was not.
I can't imagine.
And we kind of needed certain guys to develop, and they didn't, but that's okay. I had a ton of freshmen, and one of the things that we do stickers just for JV, and this year my girlfriend designs them every year, and cool. I was like, all right, we have 12 freshmen playing JV. Can you make 12 Hawks on the sticker? And they started calling themselves Javes. So we're the Javes, coach. I'm like, why can't you just say JV? Why? And they're like, no, we're Javes. We're the Javes now. This is Jave squad. And I'm like, awesome. Can't wait to. And I actually grew to like it.
Yeah, you embraced it.
So the sticker is Javes, Hopkinton Lacrosse, 2024, with trees and 12 tiny little hawks.
Oh, that's cool.
They're also really small. So you can't tell they're hawks. They kind of look like bugs. But that's a design choice. I actually support it. But that kind of having to switch from being intense and getting the varsity guys to really lock in, and then not being less intense, but also still being authoritarian with JVs has been the hardest thing this year because the talent was so disparate. Yeah. We ended up doing well the last half of the season. I think we won 6 games. But when I talked to you, we were in the same place where we were losing, tied, by too many goals. And then something kind of happened where I really think some of them just clicked a little bit and started to play smarter. And that's all it was. For me, coaching them, I can't make you catch and throw better. And that's okay. I don't yell at kids for dropping balls. I get upset when we go on the field and we don't know what we're doing. We had a scrimmage and a JV kid who was gung-ho, great energy, loves lacrosse. He gets out and he runs to the middle of the field as an LSM off the draw. The play is gone. The ball's over there. He's standing at the half line watching. I'm screaming, what are you doing? Screaming his name. What are you doing? He looks at the bench and he goes, I don't know. And I go, get off the field. He runs up and I yelled that very loud and everyone thought it was funny. But it's instructional, right? Yeah. You don't know what you're doing, you can't play. And then we had a whole talk, if you don't know what you're doing, you can't be on the field. Yeah. From varsity, JV, doesn't matter. JV is where you prove yourself, that you know what you're doing. If I can't put you on it, I had so many kids come up to me Coach, what's it going to take for me to play varsity? I'm like, when I put you on the field, I have to know that you know where you're going to go. I don't care if you get beat. I don't care if you score. I don't care if you lose the ball. I don't care about any of that. If I think that you have no idea where you are, you will never see the field. Yes. And they just look at me like this. I'm like, it's actually a really small ask. Yeah. It's a small ask.
It goes. The thing I was saying with my JV is like a little goes a long way. You don't really notice it when you're watching high level lacrosse, but like the small things go unnoticed. Like for instance, they kept throwing balls away, and I was like not throwing a ball and just running away 2 yards saves a possession, and they don't go back and score. Not throwing a pass to the middle that everybody does. And
God.
The feed the crease. I'm like, guys, we can't throw and catch from 10 yards away. He's not going to catch that on his offhand going this way with a defender on him.
Thrown at his knee.
Yeah, he's not going to catch that. Like you're better. Like just small stuff like that. Like knowing like how to like where to box out on the ground, like the restraint, like the little stuff that saves possession. Possession's key in JV because I mean I needed it.
Yes.
Just the small stuff that goes such a long way, and they don't really realize it when they watch higher level because you don't like it just happens. It's not a moment. It's not doing things something like that, like not making mistakes.
Right.
Yeah.
The elimination of mistakes. I think Jack on this podcast said once like, well, lacrosse is kind of a game of mistakes. I was like, no, that's soccer. Lacrosse is a game of execution.
Yeah.
If you can't execute, that's different, right? Like, and I think coaching games, regardless of JV, varsity, like if we lose and we didn't execute, but it's close, I don't really get upset. Even if it's a big game, I kind of just go, we didn't do that. Like they did that part better than us, but we were right with them, or maybe we missed a lot of chances, but like we made our chances, right? Yeah. Like I now look at that differently. Back in the day, I did not feel like that at all, and I was furious. I think you have to be like that when you get older, or even when you're younger, because like you save your energy for the stuff that matters. And if you don't do that, you're gonna have like a heart attack by the time you're 40. It's just not gonna work. Like you can't be that stressed coaching lacrosse.
Absolutely not.
You know, so it's good that you at least know that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you knew that going in.
Yeah, I would say it helped. The first year I started coaching was like the 2021 year. Like we weren't very good. We went 7-7 on varsity. We had a couple of players, so that kind of prepped me for going back to JVs. Like having that experience and then getting all the way to like where we are now. We're a pretty solid team in the state. Like getting from there to there, it kind of helped me realize like that it made me appreciate the process. I'll say that.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. I think that's a huge thing for a young coach to get into.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, speaking of process.
Yep.
Let's process.
Let's go into it.
The D1 bracket.
Absolutely.
For the MIAA.
Yep.
We'll share a screen here.
Yep.
Just because that's easier for both of us.
Yep.
How do you feel about the seedings in D1? Let's talk about that. Westwood's in Division 2. We should.
Yeah,
say that.
we're D2. We're talking about D1 right now. One, I think this is the most interesting bracket it's been in a couple years since they've redone it.
I would agree with that.
Because for the first time ever, we're not going to get a Prep BC High final, and that's amazing.
That's true.
So all the Catholics are on the same side of the bracket. You got CM, Severian, Prep, and BCI. Maybe there's another one on the other side, but those four are on the same side of the bracket. That's fun. Shout out to CM. They had a great year. The best they've had in forever. I think we've texted about this a couple times. I think the matchup I'm most looking forward to, if it happens, is that ABLS matchup.
Everybody is.
I want that so bad. I can't wait for that. I can't wait for that game. That is going to be so fun.
Last year we sent a newer freelancer to that.
Yep.
And
I was at that game.
His name's Jake Hamilton. He's similar age to you.
Yeah.
He played at Concord Carlisle. He comes back with the story. He goes, "Hey, so some stuff happened after the game. Should I put that in here?" And I was like, "Yeah, you have to. Like, what happened?" And then he told me, and I was like, "All right. Did you get quotes on it?" And he's like, "Oh yeah. I don't know how much of them we can use." And I was like, "Put it all in there. We'll chop it up however we do."
See what happens.
And it's pretty clear that those two teams and two coaches don't like each other, which happens. It's Massachusetts, dude. Are you serious? It's gonna happen. It's going to happen.
So you know the story behind what
Yes.
happened. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if we want to go into it now, but
We don't have to go into it.
Yeah, that was fun. That
But
was
it was
a
an
fun
aggressive game.
That was a fun environment.
Yeah.
Shout out to the AB fans. They were great.
Yeah, it's just a lot of internal, I think a lot of mass drama. There's two things that cause a lot of drama with Massachusetts public lacrosse. One is all the Catholics.
All the Catholics.
Sorry. Like, I got to bring it up.
Yeah. It has to be said. It goes unsaid.
It goes unsaid a lot. I think my idea is you make a Catholic Super League.
Yeah.
Right? And you have, BG, you have BG in it, St. Thomas, Bishop Brady. You take away all these.
Take them. Take Fairfield Prep with you.
Yep. Take some of the Catholic teams from Maine. Maybe you bring up the Rhode Island ones. You do your own little thing.
Go over there.
You go over here. You do your thing. You can play other teams. You got to fill out your schedule. You can't play everybody, but have your own tournament. You don't need. This is like a thing that I think should happen. It won't. I know why it won't. I'm not delusional. I'm not a jerk about it. I just think it's a cool idea. Yep. Maybe you could do it as a cup, kind of like how you guys did mid-season cup stuff.
Yep, absolutely.
The vacation week, and that's one. And the second thing is how you build your schedule. I feel like
it matters more now than it ever did.
Right, it does matter more now than it ever did with the power rankings, right? But also, like, you don't have free reign over your schedule, man. You got to work with other people to build your schedule. And if you are a coach that is just in and does it just in lacrosse only during your season, you're going to put your team at a disadvantage because you're not able to do the other stuff that you need to do to get your schedule better. Like, you have to listen, it's networking, man. It's like shaking hands, kissing babies, whatever you got to do. Like, and I think what I've seen this year in particular is there have been a few teams that have come up to New Hampshire and played some of the good teams in New Hampshire to like strengthen their schedule. They also go to Connecticut to strengthen their schedule. That's kind of been happening. Or like even putting like a prep every once in a while. Yeah. Let's put it somewhere and play them and get you bumped up. But then there's kind of the schools that refuse to do that. Mm-hmm. And that's fine too. I'm not trying to tell you how to run your programs. Trust me, I'm not. But then you have programs like Andover, kind of quote unquote comes out of nowhere. Not really for people that are paying attention. Like, Brian Brazil's a hell of a coach. Like when he was there, like that you're going to get better. Yeah. Right. And now they're sixth.
Interesting thing with them, they only played 14 games this year, which I will see. You have teams who played 14, some teams who played 19 or 20. So
we only played 14.
Different. Okay.
Yeah. And we have the same record as Andover.
What was the average games you played? Is everybody playing around 14? Because I think it matters.
14, 15, 16.
Okay.
I don't think anyone plays more than 16 unless it's BG. BG is the only team I can think of that plays more than that because they do it like a college does, where like home and away kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, like you guys did with Derryfield too.
Yeah.
At Westwood.
Yeah.
So you played there last year, which I loved watching, and then this year you went back to Westwood, which I couldn't watch because it's not 10 minutes.
It's not in your backyard.
It's 5 minutes from my house. Yep. Like literally, like I was like, oh, Derryfield, Westwood. What am I doing tonight? And I was like, nothing.
I'll go.
Let's just go see that. Yeah. And I was very happy with doing that.
Great game.
Really great game.
Bad result.
It was tough.
Yep.
But Varner bossed it for you guys.
Yes, he did.
Who's awesome. Been awesome at BU. He's going to play more next year. Trust me. All right. So let's just go through. Let's do like top 10. Yep. And you tell me who has the best chance of kind of advancing.
I'll say this. That 4-5 matchup with BC and Savannah is not the same that it used to be. Savannah beat BC High this year for the first time, and maybe pre-COVID, that they have a chance to go to the state finals and maybe challenge prep and make it to the finals. I believe in that Savannah team. They got a lot of firepower. They have a lot of returning experience. They got D1 commits all over the field. The great face-off guy. I think that they can maybe go take BC High. Granted, I still think it's still a little bit of a big brother, older brother conversation with them too. So right. I'm not really sure. And then I think Andover can really maybe pull up an upset and take AB out. I know they played early in the year. I don't remember what the final score was, but it was close-ish. I don't think it was like a one-goal game, but it was pretty close.
Just got to beat the zone.
Yeah.
Beat the zone. But they have I think, this is my opinion, they have the best zone in MIAA.
They're impressive. There's an all-around solid program, but I just think, we said like Guiney and I forget who the other attackman is. He's really freaking solid. But I mean, they're just like watching them play. They don't like blow your socks off. They just make the right plays and they play so smart.
That's the Brazil Merrimack thing. Yeah,
they just play so smart. I've seen a couple other games. They don't beat themselves.
Yeah, you have to beat them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh God, I have to go through that this week.
It happens.
Just so scared of us beating ourselves. It's the worst. I can't pick against SJP at all. These two games that they lost, first of all, one of them doesn't even count.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't count. It was an IMG scrimmage. And it's listed as a loss, and it shouldn't be.
I don't know how that happened.
And then like the other one was what? Staples?
Staples, yeah. Because I think they beat BG, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So BC High played BG. Yeah. But
They all go together.
Yeah, all the Catholics run together in our heads.
Yep.
I just think they're so. This is the thing about them. Every year they graduate. Like last year, Jimmy Ayers graduates.
Yep.
He's not there this year. He's at Hopkins. I'm like, how do you replace that? And then I remember, oh, you have Jake Vanna.
Yep. Yes, they do.
I forgot. And then I look down the list, and it's like Powers and like all these other dudes. I'm like, oh, right, Harmon, who I think should get more burn. Shout out.
The thing about them too is that like they've had like a different goalie every single year that they've had won a state championship. They just keep like moving.
Different goalie that plays.
Yeah.
So I think the goalie they have this year was on the team last year.
Yeah.
I'm almost positive. I saw him play in a regular season game.
Yeah.
I think like their process for bringing kids through that program is very, I hate to say this, like it's very ISL-ish in that you can get into the prep program, earlier.
Yep.
It's a middle school thing. You can go there for middle school.
Yes,
so
you can.
Guess what?
I know what to.
That's what people do. That's what,
Yes, they do.
Sorry to bring it up. That's what Bell Hill does with a lot of your guys.
They're not the number one on my hit list. It's
no,
fine.
but like there's a fair amount of Westwood kids on Bell Hill. So I think there's an advantage there, and I think that the way that Coach Pynchon, he has an amazing staff as well, by the way.
Yes.
Probably one of the best.
He does a great job.
He's great. He's I've been trying to get him on this podcast forever, and the problem with him is like he's so dedicated to this that like I know not to ask him until everything's over.
Yeah.
And even then, he's kind of like, I need to get away from lacrosse for a little bit. It's kind of, and every year I'm like, all right, this year if they win, even if they don't win, I'm gonna get him on. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen.
I hope so.
Because listen, as someone that I don't think I'm new to covering it now. I kind of know the pulse at least. I've got my finger on it. Maybe not like 2 like this where I can give you an exact number, but I got 1. Right? I got 1. I kind of know what's happening. And coming into it, I knew nothing. And he was very helpful. Him and Coach Ice were very helpful. And eventually Coach Z, very helpful for me, like
Ice have definitely, I can see that.
Coming through and getting to understand how things work because it's so different from where I'm from and what I've covered before, which was mostly pro, college, and not prep at all, and then now doing prep and MIAA and NHIA, which I'm in. That's fine. That makes its own thing. Yeah. But this is like, everything changes every year in MIAA. And I don't, like, most of the changes are good. I want to say that off the bat. But here's the thing. Why is everything broken? Here's the thing. Wait, why? Why can't you just have a system that works for all your sports are mad at you. Hockey is still mad at you. We all know why. Shout out New England Hockey Journal. We all know why hockey's still mad. Okay? I'd be mad too. Right? I know you're laughing. Because I don't care. I'll take the smoke. I don't care. Come find me.
Please take it.
Yeah, but it's interesting when you look through 1 through 10. We got SJP, LS, AB. Why is everyone's thing an acronym? BCI.
Yep. And you have CC down the line a little bit. Everything's an acronym.
Yeah, we don't call Xaverian X. We could.
They do sometimes.
XB.
I hate
Xaverian Brothers. Andover, Needham, Calgary Memorial, Franklin, Winchester. We should say, I think this is public. It is Lou Veraki's last season at Franklin.
Okay.
Did you know that?
I did not know that, actually.
Okay. Huh. Out of the Hockomock. He is retiring after this season. They were 15-4. They're 9 seed. And then Winchester. So I think those 2 programs are fun to talk about. I've seen Winchester play at the NALS a lot, at LS postseason. Yep. And they always strike me as this team that's like such a hard-hitting team. And then I kind of see their end results, and like they do great in the final score, and they kind of get to like Elite 8-ish.
Yep.
And they aren't at that level yet, right? And I think after I've watched them a couple of times, I realize like they get poached a lot for guys, kind of like you guys do.
Yes, they do.
And the guys get taken out of there. And part of the reason that Winchester players are good and get poached like that is because they're like Hingham.
Yeah.
Where like they're built a little different. Like they're kind of coming at you.
Yeah. In
a way that's feral and like awesome. Like, listen, don't get me wrong. I love my feral children on my team.
Yep.
That just, here's the point A to point B. Can you get there? And they'll go, yep. I got it. You know, like
that.
they know what to do. And I mean that in the best way. I don't mean it in a pejorative way. I think that having a team like that in and around this area, that causes, I think they have upset potential.
They do. I mean, they beat LS earlier this year. I mean, if they get through Needham, that's a rematch that going up a team that they already beat. They're telling themselves they can win that game.
Yeah.
I mean that'll be fun.
And you talked about CM as having one of their best seasons, and what a story it would be.
Yeah, that'd be great if they somehow sneak in there. I mean, they played prep tighter than they ever have, and they beat BC High. They swept X. We played them earlier this year. It was an okay game.
I think we know what that means.
Yeah, but yeah, they got talent, and they have a great head coach. Middlesex is going to go in.
Yeah, let's pick a winner.
I'm going to go AB.
Really?
I believe in Coach A. I think that they're I think the most fed up with the things we've been talking about. I think it's been pretty public.
Yeah.
He's spoken about it. If they go to LS, they're going to be the angrier team in that game. They'll be the underdog this year. They were the favorite last year, and they played prep tighter than anybody else in the state this year. And I think that they're on a 3-year quest now of going up against these juggernauts. I think that they can take it.
I'll tell you what, AB is the reason I'm putting in a zone next year. It's definitely not because we're losing our best defenseman to graduation, but AB is the reason I'm putting in a zone. And I'm going to talk to Coach Amendola.
Yeah, you should.
Immediately.
I hate zone, but I get it.
Yeah.
It's just...
Is it Amendola? No, it's not.
Amendola, yeah.
Amendola, yeah.
I think there's another vowel in there.
Missing a syllable.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have to go with SJP.
Yeah.
Who competes with the depth?
I didn't want to say that, but like...
I know.
I'm not going to...
I feel fine about it because I love Coach Pinchin. I don't care.
Oh, yeah, I love him too. He's great.
And this is the thing too, like when people listen to shows like this, they're just like, oh, he always plays favorites. I'm like, dude, it's because they're nice to me. It's because they're not like sending me mean emails. They're trying to help me, or they're giving me feedback, or that isn't like, you're an idiot.
Yep.
Hey, FYI, if you send me that, I don't even read it. Delete.
Pinchin, a great post-game interview. I've interviewed him a couple times.
Yes, he's very good.
He gives a great quote.
Yes.
He's very Belichickian sometimes, I'll say that.
He loves to... No, here's the thing. You got to get him talking tactics after the game. Because he will talk your ear off about tactics, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Let's do Division 2 while you're here.
Yep.
I know you're you're biased. You're the 10 seed. Look at you.
10 seed for...
13 and 6.
Yep.
Okay. That's a lot of games, man.
19 games.
Played 19 games?
19.
God, all these teams played 19 games. That's wild.
Yeah.
All right. The teams that I've seen... God, Duxbury's so good, dude.
Duxbury's insane.
Duxbury's totally different from last year, because last year when they were in the championship against Reading, I was watching them and I was like, where's your offense? You have all these like huge dudes, and you're just taking long distance shots on this amazing goalie.
Yeah.
And it's just not working out for you, right? And I think this year they figured out like they can run it through a lot of guys. Like they've been doing that.
So versatile.
That 2-man. They've been hitting ball through X, which obviously I love.
Yep.
Always move the ball through X. Regardless of your level, it shifts the defense.
Definitely.
I like them a lot. I'm surprised and not surprised that Hingham had 4 losses, but they had 15 wins. So like you can't discount those, and a lot of those were upper level teams.
Yeah, I pointed this out that Hingham, Marshfield, and Duxbury all lost to each other and won to each other, so that just made things really interesting. I mean, the Patriot League is well represented in this. If we're gonna go dark horse, I really like Walpole a lot in that 5 seed. I think they are super talented. They have great weapons. They have great coaching. I think they can play with anybody. They are really, really solid.
Yeah, they have to be healthy.
Yeah,
because they're not super deep.
Nope.
No. But that attack is fun.
It's absurd.
Super fun. Super fun to watch.
So much talent.
I like them. I kind of am one of those people that never counts out Longmeadow. Not just because the coach has my cell phone number and will text me mean things if I don't mention his team. He definitely doesn't do that. I'm joking.
Shout out
Keith,
Coach Campbell.
Keith, just kidding, man. He's a friend of Jack, so we got to bring him in. He's been great, and I think he's built this team to a point where they just kind of they're like a motorboat, man. Yeah. Like you have to get them to smash into something to beat them. If you don't do that, you will lose.
They're just so consistent. I mean, it doesn't matter who they have on the field; they're going to turn out a product. No matter the past couple of years, they had so much turnover. They had great offense. The one they won the state championship, lost those guys, and they just kind of came back, and they were in the finals, Final Four again. Like they just doesn't matter who they have; they're going to put out a great product every time they're on the field. It's absurd.
And again, I think when we're talking about playoffs, we're talking about depth, right? And I think you got to bring up Bill Ricca if you're talking about that, because they always have guys. Reading always has guys. You guys have a lot of. Maybe not as much depth as you had last year, but more.
At a certain position.
Yep. But I think that if you look at the top 10 here, right, it's a little more level than D1. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're not. And I think this is one of the better, like even all the way down. I think that I've really liked how the things worked out this year in the playoffs in certain matchups.
How is Hopkinton 15?
Yeah. 14-4, yeah. They just won a playoff game yesterday. They just beat Minnetonka. Shout out Coach Norton. He does a great job over there.
That's wild.
Power rankings, man.
Yeah. That makes no... that.
Yeah.
They should at least be 11. What is this? Who made this?
Algorithm? Talk to the algorithm.
Algorithm do this? Algorithm.
I want more transparency. Also, I want more... how do you... like, I know how it works, but I don't know how it works at the same time. It's
no one does.
It's like, I want... like, I appreciate that it takes into some things more than the old system didn't, which is winning percentage, but I still want somewhat of a human element making my playoff bracket to say maybe this doesn't add up.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
But again, if you're looking at a team that is going to do something outside the top 10, it's probably them.
I mean, I told you who I thought pulling up says North Andover. I mean, they got a decent draw in a maybe not the most battle. I mean,
they're playing today.
Yeah. I mean, granted, 15-1 is nothing to scoff at, but I just think that North Andover's played a little bit of a stiffer schedule. I mean, that's a tough draw. You mean to play a team that's only lost one game, but I think that they have the ability to do it. They played a grueling schedule in North Andover.
I tell you what, if I played for Steve Zoe, I'd not want to lose.
Oh, absolutely not.
I would run through like 4 walls, and like if there was a 5th wall, I'd be like, throw me through it. Yep. Like that's the kind of guy he is. Let's pick a winner here. Come on. I know you're not supposed to.
I know.
You can't. Well, you can't pick yourself.
Oh, of course. Westwood side, I think I will take Hingham. I think that they played Duxbury incredibly tight. I think that they're going to go there with a chip on their shoulder. They're going to tell themselves they're the underdog. They're going to believe in it. And Coach Todd does a great job with all those guys. And they have, I mean, a stud at Fogo and a stud at net. They're going to do a good job, and I think that they can go in and say, nope, this is why we're the top dog in the Patriot League. And they're going to. I mean, granted, I'm not going to be shocked if Duxbury doesn't win the state championship. They're loaded. They're insanely talented. Right. I just think that. I think Hingham's going to reassert themselves.
Well, I already picked one for D1, and I can't do it again.
Thank you.
So I won't. I know the rules.
Yeah.
I don't want to get roasted that bad. I'll take a little bit of a roast. I think it's Longmeadow.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised.
I just think Coach Campbell has that team going. Yep. They have speed.
Yes, they do.
Some of these teams don't have speed. Is that fair?
It's not wrong.
I'm not wrong. I know. And I think that's an equalizer. If you can keep that through the playoffs, you're going to get past a lot of people just by that. And, if I'm going to pick a dark horse, I would pick Hopkinton's clearly a dark. I mean, I'm not going Hopkinton. I'm not even wearing my stuff, but shout out Hopkinton. If you win, tag me, and I will personally write up your thing because we share the name, and it means a lot to me. And it's great to get mistaken for them because they have more Instagram followers. So that's nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's kind of gonna bring us to an end here.
Absolutely,
dude. This is very natural, very cool.
Yeah.
You never know with people we haven't met before you had them on.
Yeah, true.
Like we've had a couple coaches on that I was surprised by. But thanks again for coming in, and thank you for listening to New England Lacrosse Journal's Chasing the Goal podcast. For Jack Piatelli, I'm Kyle Devitt. We'll see you next time.